Chapter 1307, 9 Path as One. The steward demonic emperor, heavenly sovereign, is now trapped behind the barrier. He won't escape. Ignore him. So long as he's trapped, he can't be a threat to me. The heavenly sovereign looked heavily at Sword Heart. We'll now go to war with the old fools of the human path. Let's deal with them and then find that heartless younger brother of mine, Humph. The heavenly sovereign vanished and Sword Heart went after him. An hour later, on a flat expanse with no man in sight for miles and miles, 10 figures waited. The heavenly sovereign arrived, ignoring all but the man in white. Younger brother, I thought your emotion center was broken and you don't care about anything. How come you still side with humanity? Emotions might be gone, but the heart remains, the senses remain. The man in white took a deep breath. I am now blocked from feeling the true love of the world, but having once walked the path of emotional heavenly dows, I could never forsake the world. Is this why you never formed the destructive path? It can be so. The man in white nodded. The heavenly sovereign smirked. What a blunder. I always took you for being dead inside, not minding anything or anyone, but not once did you give up the world. What's even more surprising is to find you so shrewd, fooling me without the slightest tell. When I heard of your plan, I was about to advise against it, but then this idea hit me. I know you too well to try to change your mind when you're dead set on something. So before I reveal my stance, I thought of playing a little useful trick. You leaked my plan to those fools and hinted that I'd leave a record of my void path behind, colluding with the beasts to steal it. It was to find a weakness, wasn't it? The heavenly sovereign's lip shook in anger. Too bad, but the 3 beasts are trapped. You won't get the chance to find anything about my power. Once I'm through with you, I'll take my time finding the right way to the destruction path. The sovereign's heart sank. The heavenly sovereign's power was beyond anything they imagined, sealing the 3 sacred beasts like nothing. Only a one-eyed man stepped forward, shouting, Heavenly sovereign, you're too full of yourself. Your divine eye of the void lost to me once already. Well, if it isn't heaven sealing CAO. You didn't go to steal with the others, helping these guys instead? Do you plan on sealing my eyes again? The heavenly sovereign mocked. Time changes everything, especially if it is as long as 1,000 years. As you are now, without your eyes, you still plan on sealing mine? Ha! CAO raged, giving a glare to Sword Heart. Tai Genshin, our friendship for decades was for nothing. I helped you train your sword by gathering what you needed. Why did you turn your sword on me? Sword Heart lowered his head. Bam! A huge sound echoed and heaven sealing CAO shuddered. His body shook hard as purple lighting flared in his direction and made him spew blood. The heavenly sovereign's right eye shone in 2 golden rings while his left eye pulsed purple. He smirked. The berserk purple lightning sure is amazing, complementing my divine eye of the void. Ha ha ha, berserk void annihilation. The purple lightning wreaked havoc on CAO's body as he struggled to fight it. Lightning field, true world. The heavenly sovereign's right eye shined with 12 halos. A boom shook the skies and purple flickered, resulting in CAO vanishing. The others gasped in shock, with an old man in black crying, Heavenly sovereign, what did you do to CAO? Zhuo Fan's eyes shook as he turned to the old man. He was one and the same with the one in the image. The heavenly sovereign shocked Zhuo Fan with his next action. 9 serenities, I only sent him where he belongs. I'll deal with those beasts once I'm through with you bastards. The heavenly sovereign chuckled in disdain. Did losing your pet get you all shy? So human sovereigns need dogs to be threatening. They all were grave and furious, while their hearts sank in despair. In a blink, they were unable to even react as the heavenly sovereign got rid of heaven sealing CAO. The heavenly dows is stronger than the human path. With morale at an all-time low, the man in white stepped forward. We're standing here today not because of the strength of the heavenly sovereign, but the path within our hearts that we will never betray. 9 serenities and the others grew determined. We're human path cultivators and we're not about to stand and watch it die. It matters not the strength of the enemy. It was something they had to do. Is this why you're going against me? The heavenly sovereign stared at his younger brother. Even without your emotion center, you still walk the path of emotional heavenly dows and refuse to form the supreme destructive path. The man in white nodded. The world chose me to carry the destructive path, but I believe in choosing my own path, the one in my heart, not destruction. Just how the emotion sovereign cut out romantic love and opened herself to the world's peak emotion, I broke my emotion center and the world felt dead to me, without love or any emotion. It was also why my emotion is noble and I decided to go against heaven and have humanity stay on top. Since you've decided, there's nothing more to talk about. Our paths are different. There's nothing to discuss about conflicting paths, even as brothers. The heavenly sovereign sighed inside and charged, as heavens will wish the world's end, I shall carry its duty in destroying the human path sovereigns. This world doesn't want you. Whoosh tilde the other side flew to meet him, determined to go through with this. No matter what you think as the purported heavens will, the human path will survive. Heavenly sovereign, you'll have to go through us to remake the world. Boom tilde explosions echoed all around, shaking the sky and crumbling the earth. The 10 sovereigns met with such force that the space warped and broke apart to reveal black holes. It lasted 3 months and killed every creature in the radius of millions of miles. Once the world stopped shaking, there were no stars, moon or sun, only endless darkness. The space law couldn't keep up with their relentless onslaught. Sword Heart and the human sovereigns were wounded and tired, panting hard and bleeding. Only the heavenly sovereign's eyes were just as hard, despite the slight soreness. It seems heaven wins in the end. The human path falls, ha ha ha, the heavenly sovereign's eye shined in 11 golden halos, cleanse, hum tilde a huge golden eye appeared in the black sky, unleashing a deadly aura. The others looked bleak, with child sovereign saying, we couldn't beat him, we lost. A ripple spread through them and they just crumbled, gone from this world. All that remained were prismatic motes, their souls, sighing at the end of the world. Who tilde a sudden wind picked up that pulled the souls to the side, shielding them behind the man in white so that cleanse wouldn't hurt them. Even Sword Heart's path flew to his side. What's happening? The heavenly sovereign looked oddly at Sword Heart, who was just as baffled, I don't know. My path is out of my control. Elder brother. The man in white smiled, we both touched upon the sovereign stage, but I have no sovereign path, weaker than you. But luckily, I comprehended 2 things when I felt the destructive path. Firstly, before the world turns to hell, there's destruction and cleansing. Secondly, that the holder of this path can offer themselves so that the world gets another chance. I have always believed the world that nurtured all creation wouldn't be so heartless. The man in white released black energy that wrapped around him and ate him alive. While the 9 sovereign paths fused, becoming a huge prismatic palm and shooting at the huge eye in the sky, the steward demonic emperor. Chapter 1308, Heart's Choice, the steward demonic emperor Bam. The prismatic palm crushed the heavenly eye. The heavenly sovereign jerked and coughed blood. As he looked up again, he watched the figure eaten away by the black energy, sacrificing yourself for a moment of sovereign stage power, humph. Well played, younger brother. But it's still your loss. We too are the only ones who have touched upon the supreme stage. You used that power to give me a heavy wound at the price of your life, but how will you stop me when I heal? You've only delayed the inevitable. I'll be the last one standing in the end. Think again. A soft voice reached him and in a prismatic glow, a pink arrow shot the heavenly sovereign. The heavenly sovereign sneered, emotion sovereign, I am wounded, but not enough for your cheap trick to work. Divine Eye of the Void, Void Barrier. Whoosh tilde 12 barriers formed before the heavenly sovereign, blocking the arrow. The heavenly sovereign gave a triumphant smirk. Clap tilde the heavenly sovereign's left eye flashed with lightning and the barriers were destroyed. The pink arrow struck true, striking him and making his eyes go pink. Ha ha ha, heavenly sovereign, weren't you on the heartless path, the empty void? My bewitching is nothing on others but deadly on you. Your very path is at risk of crumbling and you want to ruin the world. Humph. Impossible. His neck went red and the heavenly sovereign spat. Why did purple lightning gold eye flared up? You got the drop on me knowing this would happen. How? An image appeared of emotion sovereign's soul. Did you think yourself the winner? Long before you approached Kuanping, she had approached him. Your destruction plan had won you no allies, while your divine eye of the void grew their fears. So she sacrificed herself in a plan with Kuanping, leaving a trace of her soul behind in the purple lightning to strike at the right moment and help me plant the bewitching. Now you understand, Heavenly Sovereign, the best in the world. Younger brother, to think that it's you who won in the end. The Heavenly Sovereign clenched his fists as he made a bitter face at the fading image of his younger brother. Well done. I've always been above you all our lives, but you won this time. But now those sovereigns only have their path protecting them, weak. While I'm bewitched, even with a thread of hope, I will be back. Time is on my side. I will take back this win. He went back to Sword Heart's side. The weakened sovereigns couldn't stop him. The fading younger brother showed a faint smile. Elder brother, I'll stop you even in the next life. Fine. The Heavenly Sovereign shouted back with a nod, we shall see. I'll be waiting. The Heavenly Sovereign left with Sword Heart. As the black energy burned the younger brother fully, his figure vanished from the lake, making Zhuofan sigh. The war of sovereigns and the brothers' feud is only because of diverging paths, not out of a grudge. That's why the Heavenly Sovereign said true big players fight in the open, because tricks and schemes don't work on them. Despite the Heavenly Sovereign losing to his younger brother's ploy, well? Zhuofan flinched, turning to the old man with a bow. Senior, forgive my ignorance of not knowing that you were the 9 Serenities demonic sovereign. 9 Serenities waved him off. Let formalities not constrict us. How do you feel after watching the ancient drama? Feel? Zhuofan pondered. I now know why you could write down the 9 Serenities' secret records. Oh. The hero of the story wasn't me, yet you could see my experience. Of course, and not through just the lake, but from talking with Senior. I realized that Senior loves gossip, but it's because of this that you could learn so many secrets and arts of the sacred domain to compile the incredible 9 Serenities' secret records. I am in awe. I can never look at those nagging biddies the same way. Ahem. 9 Serenities felt awkward. You know that I walk the demonic path, that demons are born within our hearts. To remove demons, you need to inquire into people's hearts all the time. It's part of the job description. Let me ask you this. What do you feel about the Heavenly Sovereign's younger brother? Zhuofan fell silent for a while. I walk the demonic path, a selfish path. Even sacrifice, it will only come for someone, not for the world. I lack that kind of great compassion and love. The Heavenly Sovereign's younger brother did it for all creation, even forsaking the supreme path. I could never escape its allure, that of becoming a god and having the world at your fingertips. Despite having no emotion center, yet still willing to follow the path inside his heart to dedicate himself to the world, is worthy of respect. He's far better than I could ever be. It's reasonable for you to say that. 9 Serenities looked up, but would you believe me if I say he is you? Zhuofan shuddered. He is, me? A more apt description is that he is a past you. An aged and familiar voice sounded this time, making Zhuofan look over. You're that old man from the Nether Sea. How? Let me introduce you. He is the master here, the rebirth sovereign, in charge of the past and present lives. 9 Serenities smiled. The old man nodded. You met my regrets in the Nether Sea, but the Heavenly Sovereign has now destroyed it. I guided you to the Heavenly Rebirth Lake to see you and check if you inherited the Supreme Path from your past. The Supreme Path? Zhuofan was confused. What is going on here? The Heavenly Sovereign's younger brother was the past me? Didn't he sacrifice himself? Without a sovereign path, a broken soul would fade away. Did he reincarnate here? No, no way. He was burned down to nothing. The two laughed, with 9 Serenities speaking. Even destroyed, how was it that you got reborn, Zhuofan? Wasn't it through your 9 Serenities' secret records, through desire? Could anyone be reborn by relying on another's soul through desire? Rather, your soul wasn't obliterated in the detonation, leaving but a fraction behind. Not even you could damage it. Why then was this sliver protected? Zhuofan exclaimed, Sovereign Path? Yes. My path has been shielding your soul from total destruction. 9 Serenities nodded. When the Heavenly Sovereign's younger brother died, I used my path to protect his sliver of soul and reincarnate. As for me, I reincarnated too, but lived a mortal life. Zhuofan gasped. Then the you here, a shadow's memories. the rebirth sovereign explained, a sliver of obsession. You know that to reincarnate at the heavenly rebirth lake, one must leave behind memories, feelings, everything. 9 Serenities left behind his thought of reincarnation in order to see with his own eyes your return according to the plan to inherit that heavenly Taos of before. Only then can he find peace. Zhuofan was conflicted. Shadow? It can't even be called a soul, only a shadow of a thought. After seeing you, it will fade. 9 Serenities smiled and patted his shoulder. You now have a choice. Inherit the emotional heavenly Taos and grasp the precious power, fulfilling the promise in blocking the heavenly sovereign from destroying the world. Or do nothing and wait for death. The heavenly sovereign will be coming here soon to steal the rebirth path. Zhuofan cried, you call that a choice? No one wants to die. Of course it is, a choice of the heart. 9 Serenities was solemn, you said it yourself, you're a selfish demonic cultivator, but you were once on the emotional heavenly Taos path. Your hearts differ and thus makes inheriting that power impossible. Even though you're one and the same, Zhuofan hung his head, everything can be fake in the world, but only my heart is ever true. I could never just give up all these years spent on the demonic path at the drop of a hat. And for a path of love. Why did I even choose demonic path in the first place? Because you had my sovereign demonic path. So no matter what life you'd have, all would choose the demonic path, even if you were the son of a righteous leader. Why do I get the feeling you played me? Zhuofan's mouth twitched. In that case, why not just give me a righteous sovereign path? They didn't want to. Was only Master 9 Serenities willing to sacrifice himself for me? Is that a way to treat the guy who sacrificed himself for the world? The Steward Demonic Emperor. Chapter 1309, Acceptance, the Steward Demonic Emperor. The two chuckled. 9 Serenities was the one to continue the explanation. You're wrong to blame them. All of us were moved by your self-sacrifice to save every being, and would be willing to give up everything to save you. But for you to train in the 9 Serenities' secret records, only I could have guided you. 9 Serenities' secret records. As you've seen yourself, the moment you were the closest to the supreme stage power was when you fused 9 paths. You used that power to wrest the wounded sword heart's path and take it for yourself. 9 Serenities' eyes gleamed. I am confident your emotional heavenly Taos is the pathway to reach the supreme stage through uniting the 9 human sovereign paths. Nothing is hopeless in this world, no matter how bad it looks. Even with the destruction path appearing, there will be another path to stop it. This path is your emotional heavenly Taos. When you couldn't form your sovereign path, maybe it just needed the right timing for the 10 Taos to unite. The void path and the 9 human paths will help you form the supreme path and become lord over heaven and earth. In other words, the younger brother chose to get the 10 paths instead of forming the sovereign path. Heaven's will didn't wish for destruction, only leading to this path due to his broken emotion center. That's how it is. But heaven's will is hard to read, and we are only able to judge it with our own views. Who can say the real truth of the Tao? Even the heavenly sovereign can't declare he represents the world. Only a supreme, or maybe not even it. 9 Serenities shook himself from that line of thought. Anyway, they're out of our grasp and all we can do is follow our path in helping every being pass this crisis. You have what it takes to do it, and I happen to make the art to help you integrate all paths. When you become supreme, it will be like how the world can only have 10 sovereigns, but you will be the sole person, blocking the destruction of the supreme stage from appearing. Even if it does appear, you have what it takes to fight it. Zhuofan nodded. To stop the heavenly sovereign from getting to the destruction path, you want to take over the world first. But won't the heavenly sovereign try to stop me? The sovereign path shields your fate. Only my path guided you to seek the demonic path. But letting demons take you is easy, while overcoming them is hard. The hardest part of the demonic path is drifting from desire to desire before you can break free of your demons and reach the end of the path, seeing the hearts and minds of the world without desire. It's easier said than done. There are countless righteous cultivators who couldn't escape their demons and sank further into their grasp. Zhuofan nodded. Master 9 Serenities, I've been a no-good demon once, shambling around without aim and witnessing all kinds of demons. Some are cloaked in righteousness, making escape all the harder. I had the fortune to be sharp enough and perceptive enough to be here today instead of living my meager existence as a petty criminal. Alas, guess I did have a knack for the demonic path, ha ha ha, knack my ass. 9 Serenity's face twitched. Do you have any idea how long I've waited here for you? Right, about 5,000 years. Zhuofan counted. I spent a few centuries cultivating in sacred domain, then got reborn 5,000 years later and cultivated about 100 years more, quite quickly I might say. 9 Serenities rolled his eyes and Rebirth Sovereign laughed. That's your current life. What's that supposed to mean? How many lives did I have? Since the fall of the ancient era, 32 lives in total. In most of them you were unable to get your hands on the 9 Serenities' secret records, wasting even more time. What, 32? That many? Zhuofan gasped in disbelief. 9 Serenities said, the demon transformation art blends all the paths, which is why each life must be a clean slate. In other words, all previous paths had to be purged. So each reincarnation removes your memories. There were only around 5 times you got the 9 Serenities' secret records. It's lucky you made it all the way here this time around. The other times, humph, once you were too scared to train in it, the other time ending like your disciple, not willing to let go of your cultivation and dying from the backlash. The same petty demons you're denouncing were you in a few lifetimes. Now ain't that talent? Ha! How can this be? Zhuofan blinked, but I got the 9 Serenities' secret records from your tomb. If someone found it already, who put it back? The two replied at the same time, the Heavenly Sovereign. What? Wipe that dumb look already. For 32 lives, the Heavenly Sovereign had been on us like a hawk, as well as sacred domain. You think he wouldn't be cautious of the 9 Serenities' secret records appearing? He knew everything. Of course. Why didn't he stop it? Why? 9 Serenities shrugged. After he found the 9 Serenities' secret records, you had already reincarnated a few times, and his sharp mind must have connected the dots. But our plan helped him as well. He couldn't remove the bewitching placed on him by himself, nor could he force the emotion sovereign to do it. So he was looking forward to having your emotional sovereign path do it instead. Bewitched, his void path was damaged broken heart, so reaching the supreme stage was impossible. Why wouldn't he be happy to have all 10 paths gathered? Doesn't that also further his plan? Besides, the void path can hold anything, even sovereign paths. But to fuse them is beyond him. Seeing my demon transformation art, he had to have been laughing so hard the first time he found our plan. There's no way he'd stop us. You never noticed how you've been led all this time? Zhuofan frowned. Couldn't he have just taken the demon transformation art if he wanted it so much? Why wait for me to get it? What was demon transformation art's first warning? To remove your previous cultivation. In the case of the Heavenly Sovereign, he'd have to let go of his sovereign stage cultivation and even his sovereign path. 9 Serenities raised his eyebrows. The strongest sovereign wasn't ready to risk his chance at the supreme stage or his void path over some sketchy art. The ungodly risk aside, it might have been a trap. What would you do in his shoes? Zhuofan nodded with a sigh. Yeah, great experts would never want to start from scratch again. Despite the journey being longer in this case, the risk wasn't worth it. Even a sovereign would falter. He didn't have the nerve to do it, nor is he hopeful of others, with their poor talents. Only you, his younger brother, are the best candidate. Just that 32 reincarnations proved your lack of talent in the demonic path. He could no longer take the weight and took action this time, guiding you. It did the trick and you got the gist on the spot, thanks to an awesome master. Ha ha ha, Zhuofan's face twitched. Why don't I feel the slightest difference between you and the Heavenly Sovereign? It's like you're in it together to mess with me. Right you are. When masters fight, they do it in the open. You're the pawn of all of us. Despite the different purposes, interests aligned for a while. Then you also were ready to guide me. Of course, we laid the groundwork throughout the world to guide you the minute you trained in the demon transformation art. 9 Serenities nodded. The sacred domain was under the Nether Sovereign and the others' care, leaving their remnant images in different realms. Sovereign Yun chose to bring his path to the mortal domain through a world wind tunnel and tell Kuanping our plan. All that remained was for you to arrive. A cultivator is an adventurer first and foremost, and most of them in the mortal domain would visit the Allbeast mountain range at some point, including you. And if I haven't? Since the first plan to guide you would be a bust, Plan B would be in effect. Plan B? Yeah, being willing to give up your sovereign path. 9 Serenities smiled. Demonic path is as selfish as it gets. If you could have relinquished it, that meant you rose above all the desires and demons, finishing the demonic path through the demon transformation art. At that point your fate will be readable in the heavens, and Sovereign Yun would send someone to lure you to receive our inheritances to reach the same conclusion. So that's why. Zhuofan sighed. These players had my life's track in the palm of their hands, taking another stage the minute I passed the previous one. If no plan worked, the lives will be spent in mediocrity until the moment they could use me again. You used me like a toy. No, toys are at someone's mercy, while we merely guided you and didn't dictate your every choice. 9 Serenities spoke hard. Just like now, we have no control on what your heart wants. Your choice is yours. You hold everything, including our hopes and the lives of everyone in the world. Zhuofan looked at the two then nodded. Let's begin then. I accept my previous life's inheritance, the Steward Demonic Emperor. Chapter 1310, Showdown, the Steward Demonic Emperor. Oh, I see. In the Luo clan's hall, the 3 sacred beasts sat around and finished their tale. Dragon Ancestor sighed. The Heavenly Sovereign and Zhuofan were destined to meet. They shared the same heavenly Daos, but took opposite directions, brothers turning on each other. Kuanpeng nodded, with Zhuofan and the Heavenly Sovereign refining the 10 paths, one got the results while the other experienced them. Whomever reaches the supreme path first decides the fate of us all. Cao muttered, then what we can do now, is mess with the Heavenly Sovereign's focus and buy Zhuofan time. Kuanpeng was solemn. We need many experts. Qilin and Xiaoer, you're with me and Old Dragon. We will unite all humanity and help you become mature sacred beasts. The two nodded. Cao glanced at Sword Child, you're coming with me. The place where Sword Heart reached his path will be of help to you. As Zhuofan's demonic sword, your opponent will be Heavenly Sovereign's sword. Right. Sword Child clenched his fists, ready for battle. They were the only ones who could actually be of help. The 3 sacred beasts wasted no time, leaving with them, and the Luo clan was left without a plan. Luo Yunhai pondered and shouted, everyone, whoever is willing to die with me is welcome to come. Yunhai. Luo Yunchang cried. She knew what he was up to. Luo Yunhai took a deep breath. With everything at stake, no one will be safe. The destruction of the world is an end to us all. We are weak, but just like how we surrounded the invincible sword, we will prevail. We can't threaten a sovereign, but stalling even for a moment is good. Luo Yunhai stormed out of the hall with the rest ready to die alongside him. Luo Yunchang didn't stop him, closing her eyes and hoping for Zhuofan to make it in time to save Yunhai. 3 days later, Luo Yunhai led the entire Emperor lands to war on Mirror Moon Cottage. They stared at the boundary and Li Jingtian and the others led the forces into the small building. They had barely rushed inside when they splattered on the ground in pieces from a mere strong wind. Hundreds fell at that moment alone. The men were shaken, with some experts from the 8 Emperors' lands turning to the Luo clan having never experienced such a massacre. The Luo clan, however, was unfazed. With the military as the core of their conduct, they knew the risks of going to war. First it was to protect the people of a third-rate empire, now it was to protect the world, for it held the people they loved. For them, they would jump into hell even knowing it would have no effect at all. This was the only thing they could do for their people. Waves of experts from Sacred Domain led by the Luo clan's higher-ups rushed at the boundary to break it with their own flesh and blood. Thousands, then millions, all exploded in a shower of blood. Such a sacrifice was nothing before the Heavenly Sovereign's barrier. But maybe the incessant shouting and clamor did have some effect, for the 8 half-sovereigns came out. Whoosh tilde sword energy flared everywhere and took tens of thousands of men down with them. A red-haired man shouted, if you're in such a rush to die, go die hanging from a tree like the bugs you are instead of buzzing in our ears. You're disturbing Master's cleansing. Great. That's why we're here. Luo Yunhai smiled. If we can harass him, then our deaths are worth it. The red-haired man's eye twitched. Is it worth losing so many lives? Absolutely. Luo Yunhai signaled, and Qiu Yanghai and his wife led another charge against the 8 with their imperial marks. Boom. The 8 swiped with their fingers and they all turned to ashes, even the initial elders of the Luo clan. Luo Yunhai didn't even blink, his mind set as his hand fell again, sending heaven and earth sages this time, who obeyed without fault. The red-haired man squinted with puzzlement. Do they all want to die for nothing? Humph, then taking their head will change their mind. The man flashed before Luo Yunhai and clutched his neck. Take the head and the body will follow, your death will make them all scatter. You're nothing but weak bugs, hardly worth our time. Go ahead then. Luo Yunhai mocked without fear. I may die, but they won't retreat because we all understand one fundamental truth. Retreating means the end of the world, them included. Living one more day is worth it. Wrong. You think we're doing it for us? You're not. Luo Yunhai shook his head, sneering. I heard about the heavenly sovereign's matters, that you've been around him for so long that you've forgotten humanity's strength. In different situations, we'd be afraid of half-sovereigns, but not this time. For behind us are the people we must protect. Luo Yunhai's voice was carried through the sky, echoing in the hearts of all men. The 8 Emperor's Land's experts faltered in their retreat, growing furious and charging as well. Bam! Luo Yunhai was sent flying and coughing blood, dead. The red-haired man sneered then froze. He found that the death of the leader did nothing to dissuade the rest from throwing their lives. Just like Luo Yunhai said, they all held little care for themselves. Ignorant fools! The 8 half-sovereigns mocked them as they slaughtered them. The sky took a red tint from the flood of blood. What was strange was that none cried in misery. Sword Heart stood before the courtyard and watched the spectacle in silence before turning to the Heavenly Sovereign's room. The Heavenly Sovereign asked, Is the disturbance still around? Heavenly Sovereign, they came to harass your cleansing. They won't leave. Humph, a bunch of fools think they can disturb my meditation with some noise. They are indeed fools, oblivious to how useless it all is. But I don't believe they'll stop. Sword Heart gave a sigh. I've never seen ants pick up a fight with a half-sovereign, let alone multiple. Do they hope to beat them with numbers? The Heavenly Sovereign was silent and Sword Heart left. The clamor outside went on still, for 3 whole months. The blood dyed the earth red, covered in corpses for miles. The 8 half-sovereigns watched in awe as they still charged over the wall of corpses. They had wandered the world and seen many aspects of humanity, but never like this. Is it the final push before dying? No, they had seen that madness plenty of times. This was different. Every man here became a hero of legends, a fearless warrior. But such an ideal did not exist. Until now. I'd have let you go any other time. Whoosh tilde, a huge image appeared as the red-haired man released his sacred body and unleashed a scarlet wave. But come just one more time and I have no choice to be cruel. The men didn't even flinch. He nodded. Fine, then allow me to deliver you from life. Whoosh. A sword wave came down like death, yet their eyes never wavered. Bam. A small figure appeared and broke the attack, Sword Heart. Who tilde, a violent explosion shook the skies and the 8 half-sovereigns withdrew in shock. The actual Sword Heart in the courtyard shook and gasped. The aura of a sovereign. That kid found his path. The steward demonic emperor. Chapter 1311, Heavenly Sovereign appears, the steward demonic emperor. Bang tilde, the 5 sacred beasts appeared as well with their mighty auras, making the sacred bodies crumble. The 8 fell back in shock. They had no chance against the might of the beasts at the level of sovereigns. Half-sovereigns were the closest to the sovereign stage, but far beneath them. Yunhai, Elder Li, Elder Qiu, Jiyu Santong noticed the familiar faces among the bodies with clenched fists. Kunpeng sighed, how foolish. Why could you do something so pointless? I shouldn't have said so much, telling you to just wait instead. This is humanity, the human path. CAO's only I shook and roared, Sword Sovereign, get out here right now. Look at all the dead people, they are the humanity you yearned for. Sword Sovereign looked outside and turned heavy. Heavenly Sovereign spoke, Sword Heart, the old man is calling you. Go and break it, the once humane sword path. Whoosh. A prismatic glow entered Sword Sovereign. He shook and gasped, Heavenly Sovereign, you're giving me my path? You're my heavenly sword. Yours is mine. As I refine the 10 paths, they include yours as well. Now that the enemy has come, I'm at a critical moment and can only rely on you. Go lead the 8 fools, and block those beasts. Whoosh tilde prismatic glows flew out of Heavenly Sovereign's room and into the half-sovereigns. The 8 shuddered, their powers surging like a flood and making the world tremble. This is the power of the sovereign stage. The red-haired man cackled, Heavenly Sovereign didn't lie to us. When he stole the others' paths, he will grant them upon us, helping us break through and fulfilling our life's wish. The others were laughing out of joy. Only the 5 sacred beasts stared coldly. Whoosh! Sword Sovereign appeared before them, holding a white sword and pointing it at the 6. Cao's lone eye glared with hatred. Tai Genshin, you're finally here. I considered you a friend. Why did you attack me? Loyalty stands above. I can only say sorry. Humph, when you trained your path with me, you said it was a human sword path, while leaving heavenly sword path behind. So I found someone for you, one that achieved the path you trained in that cave. Patting Sword Child's shoulder, Cao taunted, heavenly sword path against human sword path, which is stronger, which is weaker? You must be eager to know the result. Go ahead, give it a try. Is the sword path your heart created stronger, or the sword path you learned by Heavenly Sovereign's side? Clink. Sword Child held a pitch-black long sword pointing it forward. I am a demonic sword, you, a heavenly sword. Before the showdown between Dad and Sword Sovereign, we will settle our fight. Ha ha ha, there can only be one who can wield the sword path. Since we're both sword path sovereigns, we must fight. Sword Sovereign shot for Sword Child. Sword Child flew forward as well and the 2 swords met thousands of times in a blink. Whoosh tilde the 2 pulled back and explosions cracked the sky, leaving black holes. Even the stars and sun were gone. The people gasped, with the Emperorland's forces falling back. Not out of fear, but knowing help has come. Stopping Heavenly Sovereign depended on them. A leaf floated between the 2, swirling in the breeze. As it barely touched the ground, the 2 jumped into action. Clanging sounded all over the place, the only sign the 2 were even fighting. The 5 sacred beasts and the 8 half-sovereigns were the only ones able to see their sword energy clash. The half-sovereigns grew excited, shouting at the sacred beasts, they say your strength is that of a sovereign. Now that we're at the same stage, I ask for your guidance. You. Kuanping raised an eyebrow, you're not even close. Red-haired man sneered, we'll just see about that. Bam! The red-haired man shot for Kuanping, while the others moved as well. The 5 sacred beasts shared a look. The 2 sides clashed, unleashing a wild shockwave. The audience only saw it as one clash, resulting in the 8 half-sovereigns spurting blood and being flung to the ground. How can this be? They were stunned, we're sovereigns, so why did you beat us? Kuanping spat with disdain, you call that a sovereign? More like a faker. You think it's that easy to be one? A true sovereign takes years upon years understanding their path to become the sole master of it. You all walk the sword path and are using other sovereigns' paths. They don't fit you and you expect to use it to its full ability. Heavenly Sovereign said that as long as we have a sovereign path, we can be one. How? He lied. How else did you think he could earn your undying devotion bewitched and trapped in his domain? Weren't you all the peak of the mortal domain in your time? How could you fall for such a cheap trick? Greed must have blinded you, ha ha ha. Kuanping laughed at them and they were left utterly confused. Another boom echoed and revealed the upright Sword Child and Sword Sovereign's lone arm bleeding. Sword Sovereign smiled, you won. You are now the Sword Sovereign. No, you let me win. Sword Child looked confused, why? You could have beaten me if you went all out. Sword Sovereign looked at Cao. Sword Heart. A cold voice echoed and a golden eye appeared in the sky, you still chose the human path. Kuanping fell back in shock, Heavenly Sovereign? Heavenly Sovereign, I owed it to Cao from then. I didn't betray you. I lost to the human sword path I understood before. I just knew your sword path wasn't a pure heavenly sword, or else he couldn't have controlled your sovereign path all those years ago. That's why I didn't let you guide this garbage even with your almighty sword path. I made the right choice. Garbage. The half-sovereigns shouted, Heavenly Sovereign, is that all we amount to you? What else are you? Though you've done well, compared to bugs. Now you can't help me and the paths you have are a waste. I'll be taking those back. They shuddered and the 8 got flung into the sky, making them cry out as they vanished in the eye. Sword Sovereign was dragged as well. Cao reached him in time, holding his hand. Tai Genshin, tell me the truth. What do you mean by returning the favor? I am Heavenly Sovereign's heavenly sword, I can never betray him. All I could ever do was pass my path. It's up to heaven if he can combine the 10 paths. He sent a sword energy from his finger and pushed Cao back. Sword Sovereign was absorbed in the huge eye as he smiled. Brother Cao, goodbye. I hope you won't be destroyed with the world, Tai Genshin. Cao roared, his eyes shaking. Sword Sovereign was swallowed with his path. Whoosh. Mirror Moon Cottage erupted and a white figure flew out and stepped on a mountain. He looked down on them all with disdain. Beasts, you've caused enough havoc. Now you'll deal with me. The Steward Demonic Emperor. Chapter 1312, Half Supreme, the Steward Demonic Emperor Heavenly Sovereign. Kuanpeng winced as he turned to the familiar figure. You left Mirror Moon Cottage. Did you remove the bewitching? Heavenly Sovereign smirked. With Emotion Sovereign's path and my ability, I can now remove her bewitching. But you've been buzzing in my ear for long enough to bother me from refining the paths. Your persistent social call left me with no choice but to get rid of you first. The question is, will you come at once or one at a time? Heavenly Sovereign mocked. Kuanpeng's beard shook. Facing Heavenly Sovereign alone is disgracing Sovereign's honor. Hypocrite. Heavenly Sovereign laughed. Old man, you haven't changed a bit. No, you're actually more humane now. Stop throwing excuses and just come all of you. Whoosh tilde Heavenly Sovereign flashed among the 5 beasts. They started and struck as one. Golden flames, azure flame, Chilean strength, all were unleashed upon Heavenly Sovereign. Heavenly Sovereign turned into a shadow and vanished, appearing above young Sanzi. So you're Chilean's son. Ha ha ha, sorry, but I killed your dad. And I'm more sorry for what happens next, killing you as well. Bam! He poked Jiyu Santong's back. The incredible power slammed him into the ground, with the earth around crumbling like a deck of cards. Jiyu Santong coughed blood, looking pale. That's Shadow Sovereign's art and Tyrant Emperor's endless power. Kuanpeng gasped. He refined 2 paths already and can use their strength. Even without Divine Eye of the Void, I'll still crush you with raw power. Heavenly Sovereign cackled. Whoosh tilde a black sword wave shot for his head. Heavenly Sovereign pointed with 2 fingers and destroyed it with his attack. A sword wave reached Sword Child, sending him hurtling into the ground. Blood gushed out of his shoulder. The hardest sovereign weapon was hurt just like that. SSS tilde Kuanpeng gasped. That's not Sword Sovereign's path. His sword path doesn't have that much power. He can't have Sword Child so wounded in one strike. Ha ha ha, it is and isn't. I have taken Zhuo Fan's demon transformation art, including the apocalyptic sword. Demon transformation ART's greatest asset is combining all paths. Sword Sovereign's path combined with Zhuo Fan's sword path, as in Heavenly Sword and Demonic Sword, added to the mix my power, will become the strongest sword. I hardly need to do anything just to kill you all. Ha ha ha. Kuanpeng was grave. Heavenly Sovereign was far more dangerous now. He had been toying with them so far, yet that proved the sheer gap between them. Kuanpeng took a deep breath and roared, into your main form, sacred beast, the world reversal formation. Kuanpeng turned into the vaulting Kuanpeng, a creature 500 meters big that blotted the sky. Cao and the rest turned to their beast form as well. Jiyu Santong struggled to stand, turning into a Chilean. The sacred beasts howled, shuddering the skies and quaking the earth. The Emperor Land's cultivators ran away from this incredible fight. Only Heavenly Sovereign looked on with disdain. Whoosh tilde the 5 sacred beasts had Heavenly Sovereign surrounded, spinning around him and unleashing tremendous power as a vortex formed. Heavenly Sovereign kept watching with scorn. Crack tilde multicolored powers whistled at Heavenly Sovereign, turning into a deadly black energy right before they reached him. This, hey, yes, the destruction power you crave. We'll send you off to hell. Kuanpeng shouted. The other 4 beasts stared at him with hope that it was enough to combine the powers into the supreme strength and wound him. Heavenly Sovereign begged to differ. Destruction power, ha ha ha. I might be excited if it were ages ago, but now you are useless to me. Apocalyptic thunder flame eye. Tilde Heavenly Sovereign's left eye flashed with black thunder flames, while his right eye shone in 4 golden halos. Thunderflame Space Crusher. Boom tilde crushing explosions rumbled all around as the power of annihilation faced the 5 sacred beasts' combined power. The tremendous shockwave flung the 5 sacred beasts back, with the black power flashing for thousands of miles and erasing everything. The slower Emperor Land's cultivators were gone from this world in a blink. The place was devoid of life for thousands of miles. Kuanpeng bled from the mouth, his voice weak. That's Shuafan's apocalyptic thunderflame eye. Why you? I told you, I've taken everything you have. Heavenly Sovereign smirked. This younger brother of mine finally did something for me, bringing back this type of destructive power. My patience in keeping this pawn around has borne fruits at long last. This power is part of yours as well. By sending you off with the same strength you have is quite poetic, ha ha ha, Heavenly Sovereign shouted, his eyes sinister, starting with you, sly Kuanpeng. Thunder flame void annihilation. Whoosh tilde the terrifying thunder flame turned into a huge beam of blackness, shooting straight for Kuanpeng. Kuanpeng was horrified and his heart sank. I'm done for, dying at Heavenly Sovereign's hand. Bam! The beam scattered right before impact, vanishing into nothing. Heavenly Sovereign paused and looked at the familiar figure. A man in white held an outstretched palm, thwarting Heavenly Sovereign's attack and revealing identical eyes. Father! Jiyu Santong and Qiaoer shouted in joy. Kuanpeng shouted, Shuafan, you're back at last. No, he isn't Shuafan. Heavenly Sovereign sized him up and mocked, younger brother, you relied on the reincarnation path and Shuafan's broken soul to return. Which path do you have now, I wonder, the emotional heavenly Tao or the destruction path? Shuafan looked calm, his smile faint. Heavenly Sovereign, you've got it all wrong. I am Shuafan, not your brother. I walk the demonic path, not the heavenly Tao. You didn't use my younger brother's emotional heavenly Tao's power? Heavenly Sovereign's brow shook. All the lives you walked may be related, but you're never the same. When one returns, the other must vanish. My foolish brother said he'd come to stop me, so how could he be the one to fade away? And this power, how is it that you wield it? Shuafan smiled. Wrong again. He vanished and I returned, only because he believed I'm better fit to stop you. Even if you're at the supreme stage, I'm the only one who can fight you, not him. What's that supposed to mean? Sovereign stage is tantamount to gods of legend. But with demons and gods at odds, only a demon can fell a god. Shuafan smirked, a god destroys the world to cleanse it, but a demon rises from humanity and will not let you succeed. Demons and gods have always been at odds, this is heaven's will. Master Nine Serenities said he gave his path to your brother, but I believe his dying wish has been to stop your destruction and fall into the demonic path, becoming what you see now today. Humph, how can you ever stop me? A worthless demonic path can't reach the supreme stage. Well, Shuafan smirked, I can't say for sure, though I've felt something else. A threshold that none has felt since the beginning of time, not you, not your brother, ha ha ha. Heavenly Sovereign gave him a long look, another threshold? Humph, enough stalling. You're barely a half supreme right now and you spout about something higher? Shuafan, I don't know if your path is from my younger brother or not, but Heavenly Tao is heartless, its power set. When I become supreme, the world's end is nigh. Now that you've brought the path of reincarnation, you're only helping me. Tilde as his words fell, a huge eye appeared in the sky. Give me the last path, Shuafan. The Steward Demonic Emperor. Chapter 1313, Void Eye. the steward demonic emperor boom. A terrible pressure befell the world and anyone in it. The people felt their knees shiver. The earth cracked in more and more places, the mountains crumbled, as the impossible weight crushed everything. Then a pulling force like no other sucked all the pieces into the huge eye. Zhuo Fan and the 5 sacred beasts were pulled as well, unable to stop. Blotting the heaven, Zhuo Fan held his hands together, releasing a colorful and soothing aura. Whoosh! It spread once it reached the heavens, expanding until it blocked the heavenly eye and its power. The rubble and the sacred beasts fell on the ground, shocked by Zhuo Fan's power and how easy it was for him to stop divine eye of the void. The 10 paths mingling within his body brought about a huge change, one that would make him victorious. Bam! Their hopes were dashed with the sudden explosion as a tornado swept everything. They finally righted their huge bodies and witnessed Heavenly Sovereign and Zhuo Fan in the eye of the storm clashing fists. Tyrant Sovereign's fists, Kuanping gasped, what ungodly power, and it comes from both of them using it. With both at the half-supreme stage, not even Tyrant Sovereign could have unleashed so much power. Just the aftershock sent us flying. The others nodded, with Jiyu Santong looking tense and worried. Can Father win against Heavenly Sovereign? It's hard to tell, Kuanping sighed, watching the two duke it out with sweat trickling down. The 2 fists boomed with every clash. Zhuo Fan and Heavenly Sovereign gazed into each other's eyes. Then, a black wisp leaked from Heavenly Sovereign and sent Zhuo Fan flying. SSS Kuanping gasped and cried, they both hold the 10 paths to heaven, yet Zhuo Fan lost the exchange. Humph, of course, since their essence lies in the sovereign paths. As I have them, not even the inheritances he got from those fools can match. Bam! Heavenly Sovereign shot straight for Zhuo Fan, laughing, beasts, did you think getting 10 sovereigns' inheritances would be enough against me? You're only helping fulfill my goals. Whoosh! He flashed in Zhuo Fan's face and clawed his chest, hand over the last rebirth path. Fulfill your role as a pawn. Whoosh! Zhuo Fan faded like a shadow. Shadow Sovereign's shadow escape? Heavenly Sovereign smirked, stop stalling. I know the path's tricks better than you ever could. Whoosh! Heavenly Sovereign became a shadow as well, and the 2 flitted across the skies with none able to track them. Sometimes they clashed, sometimes they hid, everything going way too fast. Zhuo Fan had roamed all over the place, unable to get rid of Heavenly Sovereign, frowning as the latter closed in. He chose to stop hiding, and just as Heavenly Sovereign's shadow got close, he popped 1,000 miles away. Heavenly Sovereign showed himself as well, using the same move to give chase. Humph, Child Sovereign's Heavenly Cloud Step. Are we playing now? A shame the skills you got from them are mastered by me now. There's no escape. You only mastered their paths, while ignorant of their mindsets and hearts when walking those paths. You will never understand the essence of those skills. And I'll reach the supreme stage so long I have the 10 paths. I don't need to understand some pathetic human paths. And that's why you will never know the purpose of the human path. How hearts turn from good to unspeakable, or turn over a new leaf to do good in their lives. Just as how they are weak as ants yet still dare throw their lives against the Heavenly Sovereign. The figures slowed down and Zhuo Fan became calm. You know nothing, even with the 10 paths. You've only grasped their strength and not the journeys. Heavenly Sovereign took advantage of this moment to get closer, sinking his claw into Zhuo Fan's chest with fervor in his eyes. That's all I wanted, without the worthless experiences of some bugs, ha ha ha. Whoosh! He ripped his hand out of Zhuo Fan's body and spilled his blood as a prismatic glow shone in his hand. Damn it, he got the reincarnation path. Kuanping panicked, despair setting in. With all 10 paths he'll become supreme and destroy the world. It's all over. Kuanping slumped to the ground, powerless. The other beasts were shocked. The world will end. Zhuo Fan had a calm gaze. Heavenly Sovereign, you've been ensnared by demons. Demons? Heavenly Sovereign snickered, I follow the void path. No demonic path can touch me. Even if I do have demons, I first need to have a heart. Where else would the heart demons be? Greed becomes a demon, fervor becomes a demon, conceit becomes a demon. You have many of them. Since no one could handle you, I will do it for them. Heavenly Sovereign mocked, you? Ha! You're my pawn, your path came from me. The 10 paths you've yearned are now with me, including the reincarnation path. Heavenly Sovereign looked at the prismatic glow in the sky dissipated and the heavenly eye exerted its pressure on the world. Ha ha ha, now even the reincarnation veil you set up with the past is gone. The world is mine. What can you possibly do to me? Heavenly Sovereign, demonic path always follows the iron rule that only evil can fight evil. As a demon preys on lesser demons, a bigger demon is needed to defeat him. The appearance of a demon crushing 5 people demands my arrival. For I am all the demons in the world. Zhuo Fan was solemn. This is my duty and mission. This is my final warning, stop. Heavenly Sovereign mocked, are you insane? I'm Heavenly Sovereign, moreover the Supreme that will destroy the world. And a mere demonic emperor thinks you can to stop me? The 10 paths, you can have them, I don't care. You can be supreme, I don't care. For I have lived for 32 lives, and I haven't come for that. Zhuo Fan had a big smirk on his face. In the heavenly rebirth lake, I finally realized what I truly wanted and understood my karma with you. You are not my match. I let you be the ruler of the martial emperor continent, or what? Heavenly Sovereign flung his arm, arrogant fool, you are weak and still dare preach me? This is what I taught you back then. Don't you dare throw it back at me. I'm this close to the true Tao. No one can stop me from taking the last step. Heavenly Sovereign swallowed the prismatic glow and Zhuo Fan just watched. The heavenly eye sent stronger fluctuation, while its golden halo grew brighter. Heavenly Sovereign closed his eyes as an eerie power swirled around him. His hair fluttered as black shone in a creepy light. The huge eye shuddered and vanished. Kuanping looked taken aback, watching as the blue sky turned white with 13 silver rings shining throughout the world. Divine Eye of the Void 13th stage, Void Eye. The wild hair fell, turning from black to silver. Heavenly Sovereign opened his eyes, one white and one black. Gone was the purple lightning gold eye and the Divine Eye of the Void. On his forehead, another eye opened, pale and shining in 13 silver rings, like the sky, the steward demonic emperor. Chapter 13-14, True Self-Origin, the steward demonic emperor. That, Kuanping crumbled to the ground, his heart shaking, it's all over. His eye covers the entire sky. He holds the world in his palm. This is the supreme path. We can no longer stop him. The others felt crushed by despair. Only Zhuo Fan stared with an impassive look, making even the now supreme Heavenly Sovereign feel uneasy. You're not afraid. Stop, if you still want to be a part of this world, Humph, you're still boasting? Heavenly Sovereign mocked, younger brother, I call you this for the last time. Do you know what the supreme heavenly eye is? Zhuo Fan said, Void Eye, Genesis. Yes, you sensed it too, as someone aware of the supreme stage. Heavenly Sovereign smiled in pride, this isn't like the apocalyptic thunderflame or the divine eye of the void. It will erase the whole world and then create a purer one, without any filth. There's nothing in this world, not even your apocalyptic thunderflame, that it can't remove, just like this. A silver glow came from the sky and a mountain up and vanished, like it was never part of this world to begin with. Kuanping was overwhelmed with shock and fear. Zhuo Fan sighed, the world has yet to run its course. If you choose the path of defiance, it won't end well. It's not for you to decide what will become of this world. Heavenly Sovereign mocked, the fate of the world is now in my hands. Just like the ancient plan, the world will be created anew. I will cleanse it of all filth, ha ha ha. Heavenly Sovereign cackled and the void eye shone in a silver glow. Silver waves washed over the world, the lands, the seas, each removed from existence. Kuanping's group shrank back to human form, trying to get away. Don't let the glow touch you. It's certain death. As all of creation died out, they would soon have nowhere to hide. They hid in caves, only to vanish the next second, then anywhere else they could find. Heavenly Sovereign laughed at their futile attempts to squeeze just a few more moments out of their lives. These are bugs, unable to be the masters of their own fate. Zhuo Fan looked coldly, fading as well when the silver glow reached him. Heavenly Sovereign smirked, younger brother, farewell for good. Since ancient times, so long has passed but nothing has changed. No need for that, We'll be seeing each other soon. Zhuo Fan smirked, shuddering Heavenly Sovereign's heart. Why did he smile? In the Luo clan, with all the fighters gone to stop Heavenly Sovereign, Luo Yunchang and the girls were praying. The sky turned silver and its glow erased everything it touched. The people panicked and Luo Yunchang held her head. We failed and the end is coming. Qing Cheng, Zhuo Fan, he'll be fine. Chu Qing Cheng prayed. She looked at the silver glows with light in her eyes, her memories resurfacing. Sister Yunchang, I feel like I recall something, the times I spent with you in the mortal domain. What's the point of recalling it now? Luo Yunchang sighed. Chu Qing Cheng smiled. There is. Be it life or death, love never changes. I've been looking for him for so long in the mortal domain, and he looked for me in the sacred domain, even when I wasn't around. Just knowing this, just a brief remembrance is enough. Chu Qing Cheng smiled, tears of joy trailing down her face. Ding! The tear shone in 7 colors, flying into the sky and vanishing. Not even the silver glow could erase it. Whoosh tilde it flew above Heavenly Sovereign. Heavenly Sovereign shuddered. What's going on? What's it doing here? Heavenly Sovereign's eye shone brighter, but no amount of power could erase one lonely tear, even as it destroyed everything else. Heavenly Sovereign started. What is this? 10 paths returned, true self-origin. I live while the world hangs on the edge. Boom. The familiar voice echoed throughout the skies. Heavenly Sovereign gasped, Zhuo Fan? How? You were destroyed. Why can he speak? Kuanpeng's group started and looked at the strange power coming from a tear. Zhuo Fan shouted again. The 10 paths to heaven, the first heavenly path, the void path, encompass the world, cleanses the cosmos, and returns. A shudder passed and a prismatic glow appeared around the tear. Heavenly Sovereign gawked in shock. That's impossible. The void path is with me. Why is another one there? Did he form the same sovereign path? Zhuo Fan's shouts continued. The 10 paths to heaven, second human path, invincible tyrant path, boundless and unstoppable might, return. The 10 paths to heaven, third human path, 9 serenities demonic path, encompassing the lands, encompassing relationships, return. The 10 paths to heaven, fourth human path, iron-blooded sword path, loyalty and righteousness, return. The 10 paths to heaven, fifth human path, the night star path, all connected, all compassionate, return. The 10 paths to heaven, sixth human path, hellish nether path, outside of mortal coil, of its sorrows and struggles, return. The 10 paths to heaven, seventh human path, concealed shadow path, dashing outside of light, return. The 10 paths to heaven, 8 human path, rebirth path, cleansing all the past, return. The 10 paths to heaven, ninth human path, ardent passion path, entwining and touching the heavens, return. The 10 paths to heaven, 10th human path, mortal path, heart's origin, heart's purity, return. With the shouts, sovereign paths gathered around the teardrop. A boom resounded and the paths dispersed, ripping the sky apart and the silver glow. Heavenly Sovereign spewed blood, roaring at the now shining sky. No, this can't be. I am supreme. How did this happen? Why did the 10 paths to heaven appear? I have refined them all. I told you, you only used their effects, not their essence. Those who fuse them can form them again at any time. Zhuo Fan spoke again. Heavenly Sovereign, I gave you fair warning. As you insist on being alone, I can no longer keep you in this world. 10 paths unite, universe palm. The 10 paths formed a spinning circle, then turned into a prismatic palm that pressed down on Heavenly Sovereign. Heavenly Sovereign shook his head in denial. No, I'm supreme. You can't beat me. Void Eye. Heavenly Sovereign's third eye opened again, sending silver glows, but nothing could stop the prismatic palm's attack. Heavenly Sovereign was reaching despair upon contact, the palm erasing him and vanishing as well soon after. It all felt like a dream, impossible and unbelievable. Kuanpeng crawled to his feet, looking at the clear sky with a smile. It's over at last. But where's Zhuo Fan? Father, where are you? Jiyu Santong and Sword Child looked for him. A light drizzle fell on the land, but the drops were prismatic in color, sinking into the earth. PFF tilde the ground moved and a hand came out, followed by familiar faces. Jiu Santong started, Luo Yunhai, Elder Li, Old Dan, didn't you die? Why, we died. They scratched their heads, oblivious. Where are we? What happened? The steward demonic emperor. Chapter 13:15, Epilogue. The steward demonic emperor Jiu Santong said, didn't you and heavenly what? What was I saying? Jiu Santong scratched his head, turning to Chaoer and Sword Child, what are we doing? They looked around, lost, their minds blank as they tried to come up with a name. They forgot soon after, enjoying the other's return. No one paid the empty sky any attention. The sacred beasts were still on good terms with the Luo clan, the former sword kings with their venerables, and they were now joking about how they were so mighty yet staying with the Luo clan. They just laughed it out, oblivious to the void inside, the vanishing of one man. The entire world was the same. Zhuo Fan vanished from the world, and their memories. Heavenly Sovereign, let's have another round of chess. In a white world, Zhuo Fan sat on a stone stool before a chessboard and smiled at the tense Heavenly Sovereign. Heavenly Sovereign looked around, where is this place? Your world. Zhuo Fan made the introductions, didn't you want to remake the world? This is how the world first started, with nothing in it. Feel free to let your creativity explode and doodle to your heart's content. Heavenly Sovereign stared at Zhuo Fan, this isn't what I want. I want to go to Martial Emperor Continent. That's my world. You can't go. I've erased all our traces from it. You never existed there. Not in records and neither in memories. There were only 9 ancient sovereigns. Of course, there was no steward Zhuo either. Heavenly Sovereign gasped, you erased a person's mark on the world. Just what stage did you reach? It doesn't matter, let's play. Zhuo Fan gestured at the chessboard. Heavenly Sovereign gave him a strange look, then sat down across from him. Zhuo Fan was calm this time, each piece landing casually, with no hidden intent. Heavenly Sovereign could never win regardless, but neither could Zhuo Fan, ending in a draw. This was what made it scary. The highest skill in chess was not winning, but maintaining a balance with the adversary. Heavenly Sovereign's brow shook, the piece in his hand falling as he shook his head, you win. It's only a draw. A draw means you win. Heavenly Sovereign said, may I ask you something? Feel free. What is your path? Heavenly Sovereign looked on with hope, ever since you appeared, I felt your path was different from my younger brother. It's emotional, but different. What is it? Zhuo Fan smiled, his compassion was greater, that of the higher love, while mine was only of minor love. Minor love could form a path and beat me. Aren't the emotions in the world split into minor and major? Zhuo Fan smirked, causing Heavenly Sovereign to shudder. Zhuo Fan stood, Heavenly Sovereign, including the 9 sovereigns, you were all too stubborn. The world moved along its own rules. What major and minor love? Emotion is emotion, it comes from the human heart, simple as that. I recommend a cultivation method, made by mortals. It may not look like much to you, but this is exactly what you sovereigns lack. Zhuo Fan sent the information in his mind with a flick. True self-art. Heavenly Sovereign muttered, return to self, merge with the world, human and heaven becoming one, reaching Tao. Zhuo Fan, you, Heavenly Sovereign cried out, but Zhuo Fan was gone. He looked around the empty space, heaven, earth and man paths united, grasping the world. The world stage, above supreme, Heavenly Sovereign's eyes shone with hope and looked at the white sky. He didn't perceive Zhuo Fan beyond the white cover, holding a white sphere and flinging it into the darkness. Russell tilde he was surrounded by many spheres, flickering and roaming through the darkness. Some were pure white, others were grey, and the last were black. Zhuo Fan watched it all and pointed. PFF tilde dozens of black spheres vanished. Sorry, it's not that I destroyed you, but that your world is already at its end, turned into hell. I'm only doing heaven's duty in removing it. Zhuo Fan turned to the endless spheres, focusing on a grey one. Martial Emperor Continent has yet to reach its end, but it's getting closer. Zhuo Fan roamed around the darkness, tracing the spheres filled with vitality and popping the black ones. 1,000 years later, Martial Emperor continent had gone through many changes. Heroes emerged, forming their own force. Even without sacred mountains monopolizing everything, now there was conflict among many parts. The largest was the Luo clan. As it was the closest to sacred beasts and had the mysterious sword sovereign in their home, they were the ultimate force no one touched. The Luo clan had the fortune of maintaining its honor and integrity through the ages, never throwing their weight around and looking out for the people. Even so, in a world of strength, the weak always were persecuted. Stop right there. Hand over the spirit stones. It's our money to buy food. The hell I will. Among the verdant trees of a forest, 2 girls of 9 and 10 years old ran barefoot and with dirty faces. Pa. The girls tripped to the ground and the 6 teenagers caught up, showing their depraved grins. Hey, let's see you run now. Don't come any closer or you'll be sorry. The older girl stood up before her sister. I'm at the 8th layer of chi condensation stage. Any closer and you're dead. The guys mocked. Ha ha ha, I'm so scared. What was our cultivation again? Boss, we're in the bone tempering stage, the weakest being in the 3rd layer. The girls shuddered and the guys laughed harder. Grab them and sell them to a brothel to earn us some dozen spirit stones. Ha ha ha, right. No. The sisters huddled in fear. Pa. The guys found themselves frozen, unable to move. Their creepy smiles stuck on their faces. Soft footsteps were heard as Zhuofan appeared before the shivering sisters with a smile. Don't be scared. They won't hurt you anymore. The girls looked at Zhuofan's kind face and bowed in thanks. What are your names? Zhuofan asked despite knowing. The older of the 2 replied, I'm Xiao Yu, and this is my younger sister, Xiao Shuang. Yu, Shuanger, Zhuofan muttered and reached out. Will you come with me, as my disciples? Disciple? Xiao Yu asked, do we get to eat? Sure, and no one will pick on you ever again. Great, we greet master. The 2 girls were so simple, immediately bowing to Zhuofan. Zhuofan smiled and took their hands, vanishing. The guys could move again and plopped on the ground in confusion. Where are they? Strange, elsewhere, Chu Qingcheng stood before a rundown house with a sweet smile. 2 girls nearby whispered nearby, why does senior sister like to stay here at her age? She must have some weird hobby. Isn't it better to cultivate in nature? Who knows? Maybe she's waiting. For who? That would be me. The girls jumped at the man's voice. They stared back at Zhuofan standing behind them. Who are you? When did you get here? Don't be rude and step back. Chu Qingcheng shouted. The 2 flinched and noticed her icy stare. They wanted to complain but they saw the tears and excitement in her eyes. They were sensible to leave. Zhuofan sighed, stepping forward. After 1,000 years, even with erasing everyone's memories, only you remember me. I knew that was your trick back then. Yeah, since I can no longer stay with them. It's best to be forgotten. But I didn't forget. Maybe it was your tears that I have within my heart. Zhuofan nodded, maybe it's heaven's will. Everyone believed Heavenly Sovereign's younger brother reincarnated to find his sovereign path and to stop Heavenly Sovereign, when the truth is he was searching to restore his emotion center. You are my emotional center. Then will you take me along? Of course. Chu Qingcheng hugged Zhuofan tightly, moved to tears. Where will you take me? Through a life of toil and hardships in the master's home. Master? Qingcheng asked, what did you do? Zhuofan showed a mysterious smile. Same old, stewarding, the entire world, the end. Silavin, thanks for reading till now. We will be continuing to post the alternate ending after this. Everything will be posted as per the usual schedule. For those who are not interested in the alternate ending and are seeking for other novels like this from us, Evolution begins with a big tree, starts out as a tree, enemy of mankind. I believe this and Fated Villain is the closest to SDE in terms of feel and build up. I Am the Fated Villain, MC is also a villain. Schemes a ton. Power fantasy. Marshall Peak. I think everyone who reads from DDL knows about this. What a bittersweet feeling, uneasy face. The Steward Demonic Emperor. Alt Chapter 1291, Showdown, the Steward Demonic Emperor writer, star reader who tilde black flames spread out, sizzling Zhuofan's surroundings, but nothing changed as he withdrew them. Chu Qingcheng panicked. How is it? Can you break the barrier? If only there was a barrier. Zhuofan frowned in doubt. This doesn't look like a barrier, or illusion. My thunder flame would have destroyed them by now. Chu Qingcheng hesitated. This is really strange and absurd. Qingcheng, did Sir Shuai-Jing say something to you? Zhuofan asked. Chu Qingcheng pondered and nodded. He vowed on his Dao heart that there's no barrier or array. He also said that it's my heart keeping me here, not him. Heart trapping oneself? Zhuofan paced around. Humans are plagued with complex desires and could never see their true selves beyond them. You need to remove them and clear your heart to see clearly. Zhuofan took a deep breath and closed his eyes. Chu Qingcheng cocked her head. A hum was heard, and Zhuofan's surroundings had ripples spreading out, each twisting reality, even himself. Chu Qingcheng was baffled, but then a hand took hers. She cried at the sudden force, stumbling. When she straightened, the surroundings left her speechless. The valley was gone, as was the waterfall and pavilion. They were now before a small courtyard with a building and a side room. Chu Qingcheng blinked at a loss. This is the valley you couldn't leave. Zhuofan smirked. It's nothing but a courtyard, stuck running it in circles. No matter where you went, someone would have kept deceiving your perception. Unable to break the hold, you were kept here. Chu Qingcheng gasped. There's a skill like that. Then how did you? Zhuofan's right eye shone in 3 golden halos. Maybe I have the same skill as the user. Zhuofan smiled as the rings faded, patting her hand. A zither played that drew Chu Qingcheng's attention and made her fearful, pulling on Zhuofan. It's him. It's Shuai-Jing who trapped me. It's fine. What comes, comes. Zhuofan led her to the sounds, arriving behind the building before a youth in his 20s playing the zither. Chu Qingcheng was scared, hiding behind Zhuofan, who bowed. Greetings, Sir Shuai-Jing. The zither didn't stop, with Shuai-Jing looking up at him. The life you lived helped broaden your heart and mind, escaping the hold on your heart so soon. Very good. Shuai-Jing smiled. Zhuofan smiled. You're too kind, sir. I still have a long way to go. I didn't even realize when Sir tampered with my heart. Sir is the true expert. Ha ha ha, you're not as cocky as before. You've matured a lot. Shuai-Jing nodded and stopped playing. He waved to a chessboard. It's been ages since our last game. Allow me to see your progress. Zhuofan nodded. By your leave. He sat down with Chu Qingcheng next to him, looking at Shuai-Jing's mysterious smile. Pieces fell on the board, each fighting to overcome the other side. An hour later, the pieces looked entangled. You're much calmer now and lost your rough edges. Shuai-Jing placed a white piece. Zhuofan placed a black piece. I am grateful for your lecture. Gains and losses mattered not. One needs to see the big picture to succeed. I will never forget that lesson. You not only held it close, but built on it. You're an entirely different person. You're too kind, sir. It's all thanks to you. It's a shame the same quirk remains. Shuai-Jing gave him a look and sighed. You like to take risks and employ schemes. That's very dangerous for a big player. The higher you go, the shrewder your opponent will become, just like you, if not above. By trying to be clever, you're only revealing your weakness to be destroyed. Shuai-Jing placed a piece, hard, removing many of Zhuofan's. The outcome was obvious. Zhuofan was dark. Yeah, sir is right. I started off as a nobody, unable to contend with the big players. But why do you, big players, still bother with a nobody like me, heavenly sovereign? He followed with a white piece, not yet ready to give up the game and his life, despite being unable to change the outcome. But he believed the chance would present itself. It always had. And if it didn't, he would just make one, like the times before. You finally figured it out. Shuai-Jing replied with calm. Only Chu Qingcheng gasped. Heavenly sovereign? The strongest of the 10 ancient sovereigns? No way. Didn't they all fall? Even Nether Sovereign could only wander the Nether Sea as a lost soul. How can Heavenly Sovereign still be alive? Yeah, they have, so how could the Heavenly Sovereign, who all fought against, still survive? Shuai-Jing chuckled. still staring at Zhuofan. What makes you so sure? Zhuofan spoke. Ever since I got Sir's divine eye of the void, I felt apprehensive, afraid that one day you'll come after me for stealing it. But then I thought to myself, that this was all a stage, as other sovereigns showed themselves to me and started guiding me. I didn't have such an overinflated ego to think myself special enough to warrant so many big players' attention. That left only one's conclusion: it was a setup. You're far stronger and wiser now, and you can see the lining. Go on. Shui Jing waved. Zhuofan said, those freaks just now are from the mortal domain. I could feel the aura of the sacred weapons on them. At that moment, I knew that I would run into Sir and end up at Sir's whim. But, when I heard they were your men, it all became clear. Heavenly Sovereign, you don't want to kill me, but use me. You wouldn't have helped me otherwise, guiding me on the demonic path. Shui Jing gave a slow clap. Well said, but that's on the basis that I'm Heavenly Sovereign. What if I'm not? Moon mirror fades to void, to nothing, an obvious reference to the void path. Zhuofan laughed. Sir, you've stated who you are since the beginning. It's just that none ever thought of it from that perspective. None would believe the first ever sovereign to be walking among mortals and toying with them under the guise of Shui Jing. The skill you used to trap me and Ching Cheng in the courtyard was the divine eye of the void third stage, Mirage World, right? Zhuofan's right eye shone in 3 halos, but since I'm still weak and ignorant, still in the void path, I can only create illusion in a certain area, while Sir is able to implant them in people's minds. I could only escape because I know some of the void path. Heavenly Sovereign smiled. You've done well going to the mortal domain this time. I'm impressed. This time? What about the other times? Do they exist? Am I reading too much into it? You flatter me, but there's still something I've yet to understand. Saving me and guiding me down the demonic path wasn't just a coincidence, was it? I'm still unable to make sense as to why all the big players are interested in little old me. Zhuofan shouted in the lion's den. He had no fear in demanding answers from Heavenly Sovereign, knowing fully well his life had yet to outlive its usefulness. He needed him, they all did. So, he found it a good idea to leverage the already bleak situation he was in to gain as much knowledge as he could and formulate a plan. The Steward Demonic Emperor. Alt Chapter 1292, Cave of Emotions. The Steward Demonic Emperor. Writer, Star Reader. Heavenly Sovereign sneered, you know you're a nobody, a pawn in the game of big players, then you should also know that you never had a choice. We created the app you are threading. In short, you never even had the luxury of choosing a path, little brother. What do you mean? Zhuofan started. Heavenly Sovereign shook his head. The past is the past. There's no point dredging it up, but understand this, as I admit of leading you on, you should also learn to play along. What makes you think I'll listen? Like I said, you have no choice. Heavenly Sovereign mocked in Chu Qingqing's direction. Zhuofan tensed and clenched his fists. The space cracked to reveal a portal, reflecting a lush forest within. Heavenly Sovereign pointed, this is Emotion Sovereign's seat of enlightenment. Go and take the sovereign path. Emotion Sovereign? The most mysterious of the 10? Zhuofan blinked. There's barely any mention of him in the 9 Serenities secret records, with no rumors even circulating the sacred domain. How am I supposed to do that? Heavenly Sovereign smiled, by playing the role they and I gave you. Accepting their path is part of all our plans. They, Zhuofan squinted, you mean Nether Sovereign's group? They gave me their paths just like you have. What the hell are you all up to? Would they still give it to me knowing you sent me? I have to stall and get him talking, not like it'll be difficult. The guy sure loves the sound of his voice. He's bound to slip at some point. That's when my chance comes. For someone so seasoned in the demonic path, you're quite slow, ha ha ha. Heavenly Sovereign laughed, remember my lesson. The higher you climb, the more useless tricks become. We all fight in the open to control everything. All of us are crystal clear of what the other is after. Just like in this game of chess, all of us can see what pieces go and stay. Even the outcome is plain to see. You're overt and not covert, understand? Zhuofan didn't argue, glancing at Ching's worried face and reassured her with a glance before going through the portal. Birds chirped and danced in the air from branch to branch. The place was paradise, without a hint of evil or any strange elements. It was the best place for one to live in seclusion. Though, there was something that caught his eye. Everything here came in pairs, including objects. 2 insects flying side by side, squirrels hopping together, and even weeds growing in pairs, all joined in bizarre ways. The lone sun above struck a solitary figure in this paradise of emotion. Zhuo Fan chuckled, then it dawned on him to look across the sky and noticed the moon, hanging up alongside the sun. Just like emotion's sovereign, to bring even the sun and moon together. Zhuo Fan pushed on, taking in the odd sights. Nothing stood in his way, be it a defensive array or guardian. The sovereign seat of enlightenment was defenseless. It was the complete opposite from the dark, eerie nether sea. This forest only knew tranquility and peace. Heavenly Sovereign is almighty, isn't her? He could just waltz in here instead of sending me in his place. How peculiar. Zhuo Fan was trying to unravel the 10 sovereigns game and his role in it. He needed to in order to find leeway in shifting the balance in his favor. First was how all sovereigns wanted him to get all the paths. Why would I need them all when one already is enough? Then, there was the obvious war the 9 had with Heavenly Sovereign. But why? What am I missing? Pondering while rooted didn't get him anywhere, so he walked ahead, arriving at a cave marked as the Cave of Emotion. Greetings, Sovereign. Zhuo Fan gave a deep bow of respect. Silence greeted him. Zhuo Fan cursed, is he out, or is Heavenly Sovereign's aim off? There are only infinity of realms out here. You're finally here. A faint woman's voice came from within. So, a she, not a he. Noted. Yeah. Zhuo Fan nodded, proving Heavenly Sovereign's words. His destiny was to be the Sovereign's pawn. But it won't be that case for long. Who let you in? The voice asked. Zhuo Fan was frank, it was Heavenly Sovereign who brought me to your seat of enlightenment. After all this time, it'd be strange for Heavenly Sovereign not to notice. 9 Serenities was right, the final winner is still up to fate. Zhuo Fan spoke baffled, Sovereign, I can just go if you want. No, I've waited for you for too long. There's no way you're leaving empty-handed. At her stern words, a prismatic light flew out of the cave. It entered Zhuo Fan's body and stayed there. Zhuo Fan patted himself, checking for any abnormality. He made an odd face at the end. Is that it? Yes, now go. I was expecting something more in line with Nether Sovereign's approach. No punching through a sea of enemies. No running to an inch of my life. No unsolvable puzzle. It felt anticlimactic how easy it all was. After all those tests the others put him through, it all feels so random. You don't like it? Tough luck, now beat it. Fine. Zhuo Fan blinked at her wild temper and left with a bow. Take care, Sovereign. He returned to the portal, pausing to give this place one last look. The second he left, the paradise faded away. The pairs of insects and birds were gone, the sun and moon were no more. The only prevalent color was gray, from the clouds, to the earth, and the barren rocks. A chilling wind blew below the heavy clouds, over the endless bones roamed by mangy dogs and ravens as they searched for scraps. If heaven has love, then heaven has gotten old. Love is the deadliest poison in the world. Heavenly Sovereign ran amok through the world, yet fell for my bewitching and never again set foot here. Having sent him to take my path, this means he's close to remove it. We are running out of time. Barley Yuyu, are you ready? A woman stood before the cave and nodded. A pink glow filled the cave. We're going to act soon, so let me remind you. My soul trace relied on my path to survive for so long. The day I sent it away is the day I will be gone from this world. But I'll be able to control it once more through you. You can't withstand a path's might and will disintegrate. Do you still accept? Don't you want to stop Heavenly Sovereign? Why try to dissuade me now of all times? Barley Yuyu looked at the cave with a cold gaze. The voice came once more, there's no grudge between us and Heavenly Sovereign. Blocking is due to our diverging paths. Mortal world's emotions have no play in this. I'm happy that you'd sacrifice yourself for me, but as the emotion sovereign, I need to confirm your decision. For emotion is as hard as stone. Mastering emotion means feeling every aspect of it at its most intense moment. Nether Sovereign sent you here believing you have that capability. I know that your emotions are one-sided. Whether they can reach or not, I know. I won't let him die before me. Barley Yuyu was determined, showing a faint smile. With a boom, the cave shone bright, and a light entered Barley Yuyu. Barley Yuyu shuddered from pain, but soon her eyes opened to reveal a dreadful gaze. Rumble Tilda the mountain crumbled and all in 1,000 miles turned to dust. Barley Yuyu flew away, gone in a blink. 100 miles from Mirror Moon Cottage, as sacred stones entered the earth, a strange array took form. Schwanger took a deep breath and made a sign. Li Jingtian's group was grave. Miss Schwanger, can we actually save Steward Zhuo with this array? Even Steward Zhuo has no confidence in defeating Shui Jing with his mastery of arrays. How can you? It's not to fight Shui Jing, but to guide him. Schwanger looked pained. This is my ancestor's mission to our clan, to give Big Brother Zhuo a way out. A prismatic light shone and Schwanger released a frightening aura that got everyone gapping. The Steward Demonic Emperor. Alt Chapter 1293, Advancement. The Steward Demonic Emperor Writer, Star Reader Sword Heart walked towards the towering cliff, smiling at the setting sun and the cautious Sword Child. He'll soon get his wish and this world will be at peace. Sword Child just stared. What's your name? Sword Heart asked. Sword Child. Did your master name you? He's my father. Sword Child's eyes were hard. Sword Heart shook his head, just like humanity, to treat his sword as a son. How does your master see you? Isn't it obvious? His heart. Sword Heart sighed. Sword points where your heart is. I am his sword, moving at his heart's intent. We are one, he and I. Does he see you as a brother then? Not a brother, for they aren't of one mind, while we are. Sword Heart smiled. What he wants to do, I want as well. Not like your master's fancy speech, calling you son. Isn't parenthood a form of slavery? You have to obey and you have to listen. Being humane is so fake, so short-sighted. Humph, and? Sword Child mocked. Your master made you like him, but in the end you're just a copy. At best, you're both working to improve, while at worst, you're nothing more than a replica. My father treats us like sons, but he never forces his beliefs on us. The same with Luo clan head, the same with Chiline. I am but a sword. So, who is the master and who is the servant? Sword Heart looked at the sky. Heavenly Tao has no emotions, in eternal solitude, unmarred by human complexions. That's why the 10 sovereigns were in the end one heaven and 9 people. The 9 shared their paths, while the Heavenly Tao is only one. The same goes for us. It's not that he made a copy of himself, it's that Heavenly Tao resembles itself. I'm his sword and he's shown me where Heavenly Tao is so we can create a pure world. What's that got to do with my dad? He has never bothered you. Of course it's related. He's crucial. Be it for Heavenly Tao, or humanity. The world's direction rests on his shoulders. Everything is in the hands of one man. Sword Heart smiled. If all goes well, tonight we get to see the world's direction. Ha ha ha. Sword Child shuddered, unease creeping in. Whoosh tilde 2 figures bowed before Sword Heart. Sir, it's done. They were 2 of the 8 freaks. Sword Heart waved them away, and said to Sword Child, do you know what they are? Once the strongest in the mortal domain, men that sought the pinnacle. But the more they do, the more frustrated they feel when they reach a wall they cannot cross. Having never failed before, they become restless. It was then that I stepped in and promised to fulfill their wishes, so they bow their heads. The moment they did so, they could never raise it again. This is the debased humanity. They're all cultivators from the mortal domain that learned from the sacred weapons. Yes, the tougher the environment, the stronger the people. After the ancient period, sacred domain no longer had anyone impressive. Only the mortal domain would bring about someone adequate every 1,000,000 years or so. Sword Heart nodded, then he showed utter disdain, and the result? They're stuck as half-sovereigns, Their immense pride turned into cowardice from crushing doubt in their abilities as they begin seeking other ways and ultimately sealing their hope to ever become a true sovereign. That's why they can never be sovereigns. If Sword Sovereign was alive, the seat was taken, for they walked the path of the sword, Sword Child shouted. Sword Heart shook his head, wrong. The 10 paths to heaven hints at being only 10, but that doesn't mean they can't change. It may be hard, but if one found an alternative, another road, they too could become sovereign in the sword. Sword Child, there was once Patriarch Blood Demon who lived a long time ago. He had the bravery to do it, coming the closest to realizing it. Later on, people heard of his foiled attempt and always believe the 10 paths are ever taken, losing their courage. Will you brave it, little one? Sword Child's eyes grew with thirst for battle. Ha ha ha, you may never get the chance, if your master fails. Sword Heart laughed and patted the little head. Come, let's see your master's last act. Sword Heart left and Sword Child followed. The two arrived at Heavenly Sovereign's courtyard, to find him in his chair and looking at the chessboard with an intense gaze. Chu Ching Cheng paced around, looking at the portal with worry now and then. Sword Heart and Sword Child landed. Sword Heart bowed, it's ready. Marvelous. Heavenly Sovereign gave Sword Child a look, while Chu Ching Cheng gasped, what are you doing here? It's too dangerous. Where's father? Sword Child asked. Chu Ching Cheng looked at the portal and sighed. He went to find Emotion Sovereign. It feels like the two sovereigns are mortal enemies. Since Zhuo Fan went representing Heavenly Sovereign, maybe. Chu Ching Cheng shook her head. Sword Child looked worried as well. Zhuo Fan casually stepped out of the portal and the two welcomed him with smiles. Heavenly Sovereign gave him a look and mocked, just like I said. The woman gave it to you. I have it, so what do you want from me now? Zhuo Fan sighed. Heavenly Sovereign shrugged, popping another portal open, leading to the sacred mountains, where their disciples and the 6 mountain lords were. Only, they were all unconscious. Zhuo Fan gave Heavenly Sovereign a quizzical look. Heavenly Sovereign spoke, as 9 Serenities inheritor, you trained in the demon transformation art to the early saint stage. You're ways away from reaching the peak. As for your heart and mind, the many sovereign inheritances you have proved their broadness. To reach sovereign stage, all that is needed is build-up. What? Zhuo Fan gasped, you want me to suck them dry? Of course, why else would I stop you from slaughtering each other? As Sacred Mountain's disciples practice the most upright methods and have solid foundations, using them will lead to best results. Just what's your game, making me a sovereign? Think of it as helping you out. Heavenly Sovereign snickered, not just me, but other sovereigns wish for it as well. There'd be no point dumping so many paths on you to increase your own otherwise. But your goals differs. Why do you care? Did you forget your place, pawn? You have no power here. Heavenly Sovereign mocked as he glanced at Chu Ching Cheng and Sword Child. I'd have drowned you in materials by now, if not for haste makes waste. You think I wanted to wait for so long? Now, are you doing it or not? Zhuo Fan's face shook and looked around with a sigh. He made a sign and black energy leaked out of him. In a blink, a sea of black drowning the crowd beyond the portal. The victims didn't even twitch as they disintegrated. The black energy returned to Zhuo Fan and filled him with endless strength. Heavenly Sovereign smirked, you're holding back, afraid that the demon transformation art will eat you alive like your disciple and everyone. Don't worry, the backlash happens only with a weak body, unable to handle all those energies, and with a weak mind that succumbs to the victim's regrets. You've passed them with flying colors. Now cultivate already. Screw you. It won't go your way in the end, mark my words. Zhuo Fan shook, unleashing a violent wave of black energy that turned the rest of them to dust in a blink. Chu Ching Cheng shirked back in fear, with Heavenly Sovereign nodding, let's take this brief moment to compound Heavenly Tao like old times, little brother. The argument before the Great War, Heavenly Sovereign's eyes shone, the steward demonic emperor. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.